What each of us needs to realize is that our everyday activities have a huge impact on the area in which we live. Our actions affect our rivers, lakes, and waterways, which we use for fishing, swimming, and other recreational activities. It affects the neighborhoods we live in, the water that we drink, and our ability to enjoy these natural resources. Stormwater pollution is an ever-increasing problem in our society. Without stormwater controls, we end up with polluted lakes and waterways and a littered coastline. These unhealthy conditions not only affect our lives, but the lives of the birds, fish, and other animals that call the waterways their home. So what can we do? Where does this pollution come from? Can we really make a difference? Let's take a look.
We're standing here in the typical parking lot today, and what we'd like to talk about is one of the biggest threats to our ability to go swimming, to get drinking water, and to get fish that are safe to eat from the Russian River, and that is stormwater pollution.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Lagerquist.
And I'm Hannah Bucher.
We're two students from Healdsburg High School in the northern Sonoma County region.
And today we're going to talk about stormwater pollution.
And why it's important. We're standing in one of our parking lots at our school where there's trash, oil from cars, leaves, and cigarette butts.
And when it rains, all of that water and all of that garbage and pollution washes down into our storm drains. And think about when you wash your cars also, and when you wash your dog, and when you mow your lawn. All of that garbage, when it rains, gets washed into the storm drain, and that leads to our rivers.
It leads to our rivers, our lakes, and eventually the ocean, which pollutes our drinking water and our water for recreation. Yuck, I can't even imagine swimming in that kind of polluted water.
I know, that's probably why it's so important to keep our storm drains clean, so we can all enjoy fresh, clean water.
Yeah. This parking lot is the perfect example of a watershed.
And a watershed is an area of land, man-made or natural, in which all water collects into one location. And from that one location, or storm drain, all that water, again, leads to our rivers.
In this case, in the parking lot, all of the pollutants would all flow to the same storm drain, once again polluting our rivers, lakes, and eventually our ocean.
Let's take a look.
We're looking at one of the storm drains here at Healdsburg High School. And this is a great illustration of how any of the water that lands on the pavement up above me is all running to this point. And this curb makes sure it never gets out beyond the impervious surface, which doesn't allow any pollutants to sink into the ground. So what happens is everything on the sidewalk in this parking lot might look clean, but I've got handfuls of dirt. We've got all kinds of trash. I've got candy wrappers. I've got leaves. I've got just about everything that's landed in this parking lot in the last 3 months sitting right here. And this is a great illustration of the problem because once it starts raining in October, all this stuff is headed to our river. Protecting the river is important to our community more than just protecting the fish. It's really about protecting our ability to continue going swimming, to be able to enjoy the river and not worry about pollution. Unfortunately, right just down this embankment from us is where all that stuff comes out that we showed you earlier that's in a typical storm drain. This is what we call the end of the pipe or the end of the line for stormwater pollution. This is also the source of our drinking water for over 600,000 people in the Russian River watershed and all the way down to Marin County.
All of this polluted water goes to our storm drains and down to our rivers, which is the water source for 700,000 people in Sonoma County.
Wow, Kelsey, how do you think we can clean up our waters before it reaches the oceans and our rivers?
I don't know. John, what do you have to say about that?
There's a number of things we're trying to do to combat this problem and trying to address this problem. And there's two major strategies that we're using. The first one we call source control.
Okay, we get it. Let's find the source of the pollution. We find pollution sources every day. For example, oil from cars,
Leaves from trees,
trash from people.
and even lawn clippings.
If we get all of these pollutants before they go to our storm drains, we can stop them from getting to our rivers.
Imagine what a huge difference we can make if we can clean up all this before it gets to our rivers and our drinking water.
The second strategy, which is gaining popularity and is being used all over and is now required of new buildings, is what we call low-impact development.
Oh, I heard about that. Aren't they doing that at the new hotel in town?
Yeah, it's when they build the buildings in the parking lots so that the runoff can run all to a landscaped area so that it doesn't go to our storm drains.
Oh, so like all of the plants will absorb all the toxins from the water that drains there.
Yeah, and filter all of the pollutants so it doesn't get into our water.
How efficient is that?
Very efficient. An example of this is what we have here at the Healdsburg High School campus. We have built a rain garden in one of our main parking lots on campus.
The reason why we built it here is because it's a low spot on the campus, which means all the water from the gutters and from the parking lots will drain into here. This is good because plants absorb 99% of toxins, which is much better than having all those toxins drain into our storm drains and then eventually lead to our rivers and oceans.
We are also doing another project here on campus.
Come on, we'll show you. This here is what we call a bioswale.
A bioswale is to redirect rainwater so it doesn't flow down this curve into our storm drains and instead flows in this landscaped area.
In this landscaped area, the trees will collect 99% of the toxins that the dirty water brings down and allows the clean water to just run on its course.
So everything you see here, all these pollutants, the trash, the dirt, things we can't see like oil and things that come from cars, is going to end up in this landscaped area instead of the Russian River. And between the end of this pipe and the storm drains you see in the typical city street, there is nothing except pipe. There's nothing to remove the trash, the sediment, the nitrogen, the phosphates, the fertilizers, the pesticides, all those things that the way our city is built is put directly into those storm drains every time it rains. It's coming out right here.
So what effect on our waterways do these contaminants and pollutants really have? Well, let's think about it. When lawn clippings and leaves enter our streams and rivers, they decompose and start taking oxygen away from our animals and plant life. In addition, once they decompose, nitrogen and phosphate are introduced into the water, which once again removes oxygen from the plants and the animals which require it to survive. When sediments enter our waterways, it clouds the water's surface, not allowing the plants the energy they need in order to grow. When this happens, the plants die, taking up oxygen that the other plants and animals need for survival. The introduction of bacteria in our waterways can also occur, posing a serious health risk to any of us that might be swimming or fishing in our waterways. So it's very important that we figure out how to reduce the amount of pollution that reaches our waterways, guaranteeing that we have clean lakes, rivers, and oceans for recreational activities. So as you just heard, stormwater pollution and contamination of our waterways is a problem not only here in Sonoma County, but throughout the state of California. And there's two things that we can do to help fix this problem. The first thing that we talked about is source control. We can pick up litter, we can pick up trash, rake up our leaves and lawn clippings before they have a chance to reach our storm drains and eventually our waterways. The second thing we talked about is low impact development. The idea of building new buildings and parking lots in order to route the water into landscaped areas rather than directly into our storm drains, which lead directly to our waterways. Both of these things can be helpful in reducing the amount of pollutants and contaminants which reach our waterways. And in doing this, we can play a part in making our waterways cleaner and healthier.